It's great to see that the ninth edition of the Melbourne Women in Film Festival is about to occur at Acme from March 20th to the 24th. And as always, it's my great pleasure to speak to the artistic director of the Women in Film Festival, uh, Sian Mitchell. Sian, welcome again to Movie Metropolis.
Thank you for inviting me on again.
Always good to talk to you, and I'm always intrigued now we're up to the ninth edition of
I
the
know.
Melbourne Women in Film Festival. What were some of the challenges you faced this year in finding appropriate films and other events?
I feel like we had that much trouble this year from from memory. Um, Things kind of seem to sort of fall into place, I feel like, in terms of the films. The short films that we received were just really strong once again, and so we were able to um, a kind of draw from what we received to create some special screening sessions that kind of worked with the theme that we were examining this year. And then we had a film like Audrey come out, which has had screenings, but kind of worked perfectly for us. In terms of the kind of theme that we're wanting to explore, but also just the fact that it's such a fun film and a kind of important film to mark this one of the first films to get a reframe stamp, which is something that we're kind of doing around the film. And I don't know if you're going to ask me about that, but I'm happy to talk about it as well. But to answer your question, I actually don't feel like we've had a lot of challenges this time, which is really nice.
It is nice. That's well done.
Yeah.
When things fall into place, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I loved Audrey. Jackie Van Beek's film is just in the film. She's so
Yes.
strong. And
Oh
tell
God,
me,
amazing.
amazing. So tell me about reframing. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, so Audrey was given this thing called the Reframe stamp at South by Southwest in Sydney last year, and what that sort of signifies, it's an internationally recognised stamp, that indicates that the crew on the film was there was gender equity within the crew. So the production had, a lot of women working on it, gender diverse and trans people also working on it. So that's kind of what that stamp represents, and it's there to advocate for gender balance among screen crews across the world. So it's a from an organization called Reframe, and they're Reframe, sorry, and they're connected to women in film and television in LA, I believe. So it kind of comes out of the US, but it's for films across the world. So it's an international initiative, which I think is really wonderful.
It is. Yeah, no, that sounds
Mm.
great. I know that in America, Hollywood and so on is now pushing into more gender equity in terms of filmmakers and casting and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, good to
Yeah,
see.
so let's hope they keep it up because how long has it been? Just looking at my watch for this to happen, hey?
Good point.
Yeah.
Uh, well, things will go much faster now that Donald Trump is in the White House. But anyway,
Of course. Yeah, yeah, nothing's going to go wrong now.
anyway, let's forget him, please. And
Please.
let's talk about the opening night film, which sounds
Mm.
really intriguing. We Were Dangerous.
Yeah, what a great title for a film, particularly for a women's film festival, I think. So this film, it's the debut feature from this wonderful filmmaker that we've had a little bit of a relationship with over the last couple of years. Her name is Josephine Stewart Tafue, and she's out of Aotearoa, New Zealand. We've She won our Best Short Film Award in 2023 with a short called We Were Kids, I
Ah,
think, and also was a jury member for us last year. So then when we saw that she'd made this feature, we're like, well, it's the perfect thing for us to sort of open with that kind of trajectory for a filmmaker. We really love to highlight that work. And it's also just a really incredibly made film. So it does concentrate on three young, and I put it in quotation marks, delinquent women, set in 1954 in New Zealand. And they're taken to this sort of remote island to be retrained to become, I don't know, I guess, socially acceptable human beings. But of course, that's quite problematically presented. And it shows them kind of coming together with their, a kind of blossoming friendship together, and they become a kind of alliance that fights back against this particular kind of I'm not going to spoil it, but some things that happen that they kind of are quite resistant to, and they do fight back, and it's great. It's very cathartic in the end, I think.
Ah, sounds good.
Mm.
Ah, really,
Mm.
really like that sound of that. Excellent. And I notice you've got some shockers or horror films in the festival, yeah, including T
Yes,
blockers
we
and
do.
yeah, T blockers and Grafted. Something to horrify anyone.
Yeah. So we wanted to do, look, I admit I'm getting a little bit older these days. So we've programmed an almost midnight movie marathon double feature. So kind of harkening back onto maybe those old sort of exploitation kind of screenings that used to happen. But just a little bit earlier for people who can't maybe stay awake for that long. Um, so we've got a double feature, and it does begin with Alice Mel McKee's Tea Blockers, which is a very, very fun horror sci-fi, bit kind of body melt, body horror kind of style, but again, in kind of Alice's way of using the form to really make a statement around transphobia and patriarchy and things like that. So again, perfect for us. And then we follow that with another horror film out of New Zealand called Grafted, which was made by Sasha Rainbow. I think it's her first feature film, actually. And it is about a Chinese immigrant student to New Zealand who, um, how do I put this? Maybe undergoes or exploits a particular kind of procedure as a way of trying to be beautiful, but then it kind of all goes horribly wrong.
Ah, okay.
Mm. It's good
Actually,
fun.
sounds like you could have had a great panel discussion based on the substance, that film, and others about how women need to be younger to be marketable and all that sort of thing, and how it can all
Yeah.
turn horrifying.
Yeah, it's interesting that, this film came out and the substance, of course, because I think there are some similarities with it,
Uh-huh.
definitely in terms of its themes. Um, and there is a kind of purposeful reason, I guess, for why we have programmed it as well, besides being a really fun and interesting film. But does seem to be a bit of that zeitgeist that has, come about because of the substance. And if anyone goes to our website program as well, um, there's a lot of really big text in bright colors that may also be purposefully inspired by the substance and Coraline's work as well. So yeah,
Oh,
we're harnessing
excellent.
energy for sure.
Oh, excellent, excellent stuff.
Mm.
We'll see if Demi Moore achieves her substance win on Monday.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's right. It's Monday. I've kind of
Yes.
lost track of time with launching this program. So
Yeah.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Of
Yeah.
course. Now, you've got quite a few short films scattered throughout the program,
True.
including on
Yeah.
closing night. So, as you said, you received some really good submissions and all that sort of thing, which is great to see.
Yeah, so that closing night session, we did receive some really great shorts that kind of worked similarly around experimenting with form or a little bit of that kind of strange or weird, slightly disturbing subject matter and themes and things like that. So we thought that we'd group them together for closing night because it kind of works with, as I mentioned, the theme throughout the entire festival. Um, and we've called that Daydreams and Nightmares. And yeah, it's got some really, really great shorts in it that I think really exemplify how creative our emerging women and gender diverse talent is in Australia and our region in New Zealand as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a really good way of closing the festival. Kind of sums
Yes.
it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. I was just thinking, I know Acme quite well. How did you convince them to have late night horror films because they don't like closing late?
Oh, look, it is kind of finishing before midnight, so we were able to get away with
Okay.
it. Yes, yeah. So yeah, that Saturday night double feature starts at 7.
Ah,
Or it won't finish. Yeah, it finishes about 11:30, I think.
oh no, that's fair enough. I thought if
Yeah,
it goes out to midnight, I know they have fits about security and all that sort of thing. So anyway, that's
yeah,
another
I
story.
know. We've worked it.
You Brilliant stuff. I'm very impressed. So, Sian, you've also got some any other panel discussions or other events happening during those 5 days?
Yeah, so we do have a panel on genre filmmaking on the
Ah,
Saturday, because that kind of it again ties quite nicely, I think, to obviously the double feature in the evening in particular, but thinking about um, how you can be innovative and creative within genre, television and film production. We also have a production design workshop on the
ah,
Sunday. So we've got an incredible, I think her official title is a props master, but she has worked in art departments quite a bit. Her name is Lucy Goulthorpe, and she's done a lot of Australian television work, Kettering Incident, Love Me, and a few films like Partisan and Shantaram and those sorts of things. So she's going to kind of it's a 90-minute interactive sort of workshop around breaking down a script. So it's really good for student filmmakers or early career filmmakers who are wanting to kind of make their projects look really schmick for very little budget.
hmm.
And that's just to take that kind of production value up a notch. So that's kind of the focus of that. And I do also want to mention that we've got a fantastic retrospective on that Sunday as well called Outrageous, which actually did prove to be a little bit challenging now that I think about it, because we had to find a bunch of films they're from the 90s and 2000s experimental filmmakers. And we've been able to finally put a package together and get all the films together to explore again a kind of um, punk riot girl experimental filmmaking process and aesthetic that these filmmakers are doing. So we've got people like Kim Miles, and actually Tracy Moffat's Lip is a part of it as well. Marie Craven's Maidenhead, Amelia Rose Towers. I know I'm missing one. Oh, Strap on Olympia. So Kate Shortland's short film
Ah.
from the 90s as well. So I think that's going to be a really great session, and we're hoping to do a little panel around that too with the filmmakers that we're able to get.
Oh, some good stuff happening from March
Mm.
20th to 24th at Acme.
Yeah.
So well done on that. Let's talk about the website, how people can book sessions, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. So our website is mwff.org.au. So all of the info is on there, all the screenings and panels and little things you can click to book tickets. Or you could go to the Acme website too. So they've got all our information and all the ticket details there as well. But yeah, and we've got passes. So there's a full festival pass that includes opening and closing nights, and then there's a 3 film pass for any of those sessions, that the short film sessions and Audrey and things like that. So there you go. That's where you can find it all.
Good one. Sounds a very good year this year. You've got some really interesting sessions and films and approaches, which is always so good in a film festival.
Yeah, I
So
think I think we wanted to make something really, really fun for people to attend as well,
yeah,
considering kind of what's happening in the world at the moment. Maybe a little bit of escapism, a little bit of catharsis through some of these the films that we're screening. So hopefully, yeah, people will come along and have a bit of an escape.
I'm sure they will.
Mm.
It's certainly worth going to. So, Sian, just before we conclude, I must ask you, you probably know what I'm going to ask you. Have you, apart from everything else we've mentioned, have you seen any other films of late that impressed
So
you?
yes, I have.
Ah,
I have um just come back from Berlin actually.
ah,
I was very fortunate to be able to go to the Berlinale this year.
of course.
And I was also so pleased to see that there were some great women-made Australian feature films and short films in the program. So I was able to see Lesbian Space Princess, which premiered at Adelaide Film Festival last year. And I know that people will be able to see it most likely, I'm guessing MIF or at least a theatrical run at some point this year, I would hope. And it was so fun and so energetic and colorful, and I loved every second of it. So that's the first thing that comes to mind, the first film that comes to mind.
Fair enough. And the Berlinale is it's such a great event, and there's a
Yeah.
new director, I think, if I remember correctly, in
Yeah,
charge.
Trisha Turtle, I want to say. I know I'm probably getting that wrong actually. But yes, her first year as
Yes, yes.
as an individual director, because I of course had two last time. So
Ah. Uh-huh. And uh, and overall, were there other good films scheduled?
Yes. Yes, I got to see the one that won the Golden Bear, which is called Droma,
Ah,
a Norwegian film, or Dreams, I think it translates to, and that was really great.
uh-huh.
Um, and then another German film called What Marielle Knows, which was quite interesting, and yeah, I enjoyed that one too. That's probably my top three, I think.
Excellent, excellent. That's
Mm.
the Berlinale. But if you can't get to the Berlinale, get to the Melbourne Women in Film Festival.
Yes, yes, we are very much like the Berlinale. People should come.
Yes, yes, that's right. Exactly. It's the
We're a
sequel.
close
But
second.
we've been speaking to the artistic director of the Melbourne Women in Film Festival, Sian Mitchell. Sian, as always, pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Great talking to you.
Okay, all the best.
See ya.
Bye bye.